Yeah, so let's just take a breath, breathing in this beautiful vibration that has been generated this morning by the hearts and the soul of these beautiful musicians, just taking in that love that is here right now. Knowing that it is now February, we get to kick off a new series this month, and it's all about love. Can you imagine? Love. And February is Black History Month, so we're going to be honoring that throughout this month as well. The topic, the theme for this month is all the colors of love. So we truly get to embrace the fullness of ourselves, our inner rainbow, and let all our colors shine. Yes. This month is an opportunity to look at giving and receiving love as spiritual acts and as gateways to experience the divine, the present, spirit, life, God, whatever works for you. Knowing that God is all, God is love, and therefore all is love. So let's kick it off by taking a look at what Dr. Ernest Holmes describes love as. So Ernest Holmes is the founder of this philosophy, this teaching called Science of Mind, or also known as religious science, which is the fundamental teaching that our community is based on. So Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook says, love is the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. I'm going to repeat that because he goes on. Well, let's make sure we get that first. So love is the self-givingness of spirit. Yeah, these might be annoying. I'm taking them. They're cute, but, you know. All right. So love is the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life, God, universe, to express itself in terms of its creation. That's us. Love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. I love that. A cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. So no matter how much we try to resist it, anyone relate? Anyone ever try to resist love? This cosmic sweep of this nature of love, of life itself, is irresistible. It is irresistible. But what gets in the way of letting love in? Fear. Our own mind, our own thoughts, our own BS. Belief system. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Some things are real, some things are imagined, but no matter what, they all live in our consciousness. They all live in our thoughts and our worlds of beliefs. And so that is what we have the opportunity to be in control of, to be aware of, to wake up to. What are our thoughts? What are our beliefs that are perhaps limiting us from this cosmic sweep of love that just wants to have its way in through and as all of us? So the opportunity is to wake up, to look at what are those beliefs. Perhaps they're thoughts of unworthiness, of not good enough, of self-doubt, of fear, of judgment of self or others. And really any judgment is self-judgment. It's a projection of our own belief system on something outside of ourselves, apparently outside of ourselves. But when we understand the truth that we're all one, all judgment is self-judgment. So we're going to talk about starting right here and opening up to that cosmic sweep of love starting within our own selves and then extending that into the world for the love of all. And that's the topic today, for the love of all. So imagine there's this infinite givingness of source of life through itself, through you, to itself, for itself, through you. Yet in our own minds, we tend to create what can be seen as like a brick wall. And this brick wall acts like a dam blocking this flow of good. So we're never truly disconnected from love, from life, from God. But our thoughts can act like this wall. And the work is to wake up to what each of those bricks are, each limiting belief, each thought, each doubt, and then begin one by one to bust down that wall. We're busting down all walls, metaphorically, and, well, I won't go there literally, but yeah, the wind's got that one. Okay, so staying on topic. Uh, so what are those thoughts that are built up, that wall in your own consciousness that's blocking you from this love? And what we can do is we become aware of those, and the first step, of course, is to offer that grace to ourselves. Because the first thing we can do, we can start noticing, oh, I don't feel good, or oh, I'm judging again, I'm in fear, I'm in doubt, and we can judge ourselves. But the first step is to love ourselves through that and just acknowledge it. To actually talk to ourselves as we would a sweet, innocent child, or even a sweet, not-so-innocent child. But we can always seem to find a way of being graceful and compassionate with the precious little ones, yes? But we forget is there's that precious little one inside of all of us. So to treat ourselves with that same amount of love and compassion. So we're waking up to what our belief systems are, what our doubts, what our fears are. And we're applying this beautiful spiritual principle of love and allowing that love to dissolve those old beliefs back to the nothingness from which they came. For truly the only thing that is real is love. And love is what is here now. And love is the healer. Octavia Butler in the parable of the sower says, kindness eases change and love quiets fear. We're all going through something, and yet we can project onto others from this place of fear. But if we were to apply a little bit of kindness to ourselves and others through whatever change may be occurring in our own life, and apply a little bit of love, that fear begins to melt away. And again, it's nothing that we have to do because it is who we are. We just have to allow it. We are whole, perfect, and complete is the nature of who we are. Love is who we are. We just have to be willing to be that vessel. Imagine walking in this world as that clean, clear vessel of love, being willing to allow love to be the healer. And what starts to occur in that moment is we become even more authentic. We begin to embrace those true colors of who we are because the ego, the persona, the personality starts to dissolve a little bit as the greater, higher self takes the reins. And we begin to act from this place of love. And this is what it means to live life authentically, freely, letting go of what anyone else may think of you. Love is not concerned about if you look funny. I was thinking about this the other day and how we kind of have these inhibitions in ways from just fully expressing who we are. And I was in my yoga class, and there's this breathing exercise we do, which they really invite you to make this sound. But I just notice how the people around are so like afraid, even though we've been invited to take a deep breath and to let out this sound. And so I notice my own kind of like, oh, other people aren't breathing loud. But then I just have to let those thoughts go and just be the fullness of breath and allow that fullness of breath to take over. And then it's like I'm suddenly alone in the room and not with 25 other people. But then when I kind of wake back up to the presence of where I am, I notice that breath is like contagious. And all of a sudden, me being freely who I am is giving others permission to be who they are. And that's the gift, yes? We're always examples for each other as we live in the fullness, the integrity of who we are. It allows that space for others as well. And here's where the rubber meets the road. Joel Goldsmith, the great Christian mystic, New Thought teacher, says we have to learn to let God do the loving and be willing to be an instrument through which God's love flows to our friends and our enemies. Yes. So as we begin to love ourselves, we can expand that through all those around us, our friends, our neighbors, strangers, acquaintances, and even our seeming enemies. We have to learn to let God do the loving. Oh, thank goodness. My small self doesn't have to love you always. But yet something within me knows the truth that it is just a reflection of me. And I can open and I can expand more to see even my enemies as just that call for love. To be able to see what I perceive in the world or in other behaviors as negative, as that fear being projected. And I get to be the one to be the invitation for Spirit to transmute that energy through me by calling forth that high vibration of love and knowing that love is the healer. Let God do the loving and be willing to be the instrument to our friends and our enemies. It just takes a little willingness. How open is your heart? Can you hold a perceived enemy with love and compassion? And I know when I think of that, my mind goes to, yeah, but, of course, yeah, but they're doing this and that and the other in the world that's hurting people, and that's not right. Anyone relate to that? I mean, the political climate we're in, I get it. And there's something higher that is seeking to emerge through all that's happening in this physical world, that when we raise our minds to the vibration of love and hold what we desire to see in the world, it can transform. So loving our enemies, it's like forgiveness. Forgiveness and loving our enemies is not saying that what is occurring in the world of form is okay. It's not giving any sort of permission or like a free pass in a way to things that are occurring that are not right and just. It's just allowing us to be the space to not be the judger and to actually let love work it all out. By holding that high vibration of consciousness, energizing what we wish to see in the world, a world that is loving, a world that is just for all, a world where everyone is fed, a world where everyone is seen as worthy. Whatever that is, whatever those things that really pull on your heartstrings, work that into your affirmative spiritual practice by holding the vibration and holding the consciousness of what you want to see in the world. And not getting sucked down into trying to fix a problem at the level of problem. Yet also, the things of the world can give us insight to what we are here to be and do and to know and to help elevate. But we can't get stuck down there trying to fix the problem at the level of problem without coming from a place of consciousness, of awareness, of love, of what we want to be for and not against. If you're willing, I invite you to repeat after me. I am willing to let go. I am willing to see things anew. I am willing to let love be the guiding force. That can be a simple mantra you can use whenever something comes up. Just let go. I'm willing to let go of wherever my mind is, wherever my thoughts and my judgments, my beliefs, whenever I feel like I need to control or fix something, I'm willing to let go. And then affirm, I am willing to see things anew. It's like, it's that clean slate. It's washing free, and it's stopping bringing the past into the present. If you're willing to see things new. Imagine someone really close in your life, a partner, family member, friend, coworker. And imagine if the next time you meet them as if you were seeing them for the first time. You've never had any interactions with them. You don't know their story. You don't know their past. They're just walking into the room as a beautiful beloved. That's what it means to see things from that clean slate, seeing things anew, and not bringing anything from the past into the present. We all have that beautiful, clean slate to build from. And then, when we begin to let love be the guiding force, we see things anew. We see things differently. And we can ask, what would love do now? That has been one of the biggest things in my own personal relationship, when I can just feel myself like, ugh, just to stop and breathe. And before I respond or say anything, especially out of those default patterns, we've had the same story over and over and over, to breathe and say, what would love do now? And then just listen for that guidance. And maybe it's just to be quiet. Maybe it's just to open my heart. Or maybe the right and perfect words come to me in that moment of inspiration as opposed to the past defensiveness, trying to prove I'm right. What would love do now? That is the great invitation. Everyone is seeking the same thing, to love and be loved. To love and be loved. I want to share a story now from Glennon Doyle Melton. She's a author of a book called Love Warrior. She has a new book out now. I think it's called Untamed. She's a great speaker. She has a blog. I've had the opportunity to see her in person as well. And she comes from a Christian perspective, so I'm just letting you know some of her words. These are her words, not my words, but we can really hear them from a universal presence of love. So when you maybe hear her using the word God, just think of this universal presence of love. So she writes this letter to her son, Chase. Hey, baby, tomorrow's a big day. 3rd grade. Wow. Chase, when I was in 3rd grade, there was a little boy in my class named Adam. Adam looked a little different. He wore funny clothes, and sometimes he even smelled a little bit. Adam didn't smile. He hung his head low, and he never looked at anyone at all. Adam never did his homework. I don't think his parents reminded him like yours do. The other kids teased Adam a lot. And whenever he did, he hung his head even lower and lower and lower. I never teased him, but I never told the other kids to stop either. I've never talked to Adam, not once. I never invited him to sit next to me at lunch or to play with me at recess. Instead, he sat and played by himself. He must have been very lonely. I still think about Adam every day. I wonder if Adam remembers me. Probably not. I bet if I would have asked him to play just once, he'd still remember me. I think God puts people in our lives as a gift to us. The children in your class this year are God's gift to you. So please treat them as a gift. Every single one. If you see a child being left out or teased, and a little part of your heart is hurt a little, your daddy and I want you to trust that heartache. Your whole life, we want you to notice and trust your heartache. The heartache is called compassion. And it's God's signal to you to do something. It's God saying, Chase, wake up. Do something to help. Whenever you feel compassion, be thrilled. It means God is speaking to you, and that is magic. I so wish I had not ignored God speaking to me about Adam. I remember trying. I remember feeling compassion, but I chose fear over compassion, and I wish I hadn't. Adam could have used a friend, and I could have too. Chase, we're not sending you to school to get the best grades, to be the best on a sports team or activity. We are sending you to school to practice being brave and kind. Kind people are brave people, because brave is not a feeling that you should wait for. It is a decision. It is a decision that compassion is more important than fear. And that fitting in or following the crowd. Just be grateful and kind and brave. That's all you ever need to be. Oh, it's just so heartwarming, yes? Imagine if you were told that as a young child, that it's not about your grades, it's not about your achievements, it's about being kind and brave. What kind of world will we live in today? Well, that's exactly the kind of world we are creating by those young ones in that room back there, being told to be brave and to be kind and be loving. We always get to recreate in each and every moment, and we have a new opportunity with each generation to do better. And no matter how old we are in this room, we still have that young one inside of us that may remember even being bullied or being the bully or perhaps just being the quiet one too afraid to say anything. To love ourselves, forgive ourselves for whatever that experience was, and to remember that in each moment we can begin again, and we can treat each other with that same braveness and kindness and love. Maya Angelou says, "In the flush of love's light, we dare be brave. And suddenly we see that love cost all we are and will ever be. Yet it is only love which will set us free." I love this because this idea that love costs all we are. We can think of love as this kind of light, airy fairy. Oh, it's just love, send love. But it's really a deep experience. And it does take being brave, that decision to be brave, to allow love. When it could be so much easier just to kind of ignore things or just kind of go along to keep the peace. But deciding to be kind, deciding to allow love, is the great healer, is the great opportunity for transformation in this world. Ernest Holmes says, "Love does not overcome hate and fear by argument or force, but by some subtle power of transformation, transmutation, sublimation, invisible in its essence, but apparent through its act." I looked up the word sublimation because I was like, what is he really talking about here? Sublimation, the definition is the transition of a substance directly from the solid to the gas phase without passing through the intermediate liquid phase. That's how powerful love is. We can go from this seeming conflict to peace without even having to go through that middle step of the argument, the war, the fighting. Imagine if we could go from the conflict to the peace in an instant. That is what love does when we allow it. We're called to be love warriors or love ninjas, expert at this thing called love, to see the truth despite the condition of whatever's occurring, and to allow love to transform, to transmute all seeming discord in our lives and in our world. To wake up from this sleepy state and to realize that we are being called to be love. It's like when you're having a bad dream or a nightmare and it can seem so real, yet as soon as you wake up and the sun hits you, the light hits you, it fades away, and all of a sudden that energy, that feeling that seems so intense dissolves back to the nothingness. We have that opportunity every time we choose love to wake up from the nightmare and to experience the newness of the day and allow that love to wash over us, wash away that fear and that doubt. To allow that power of love whose cosmic sweep is irresistible, knowing that love is always the healer. So in conclusion, it is through love that we have the path to awakening. And I ask, are you willing to fall madly in love with yourself, with all of the fullness, all of your true colors, and then be willing to hold enough space to embrace the true colors of everyone in this world? Pay attention to your own thoughts. Ask, what would love do now? And then allow that healing power to move through you. That is the invitation. I want to do something a little different, and I want to end today with a prayer by Ernest Holmes called My Prayer for My Country. With all that's occurring in the world right now, I turn to this as a place of inspiration. So I'm going to read this prayer by Ernest Holmes and then add a few words of my own as we enter into this field of prayer. Taking that deep breath. Believing in the divine destiny of the United States of America, and then in the preservation of liberty, security, and self-expression, I, Ernest Holmes, offer this prayer for my country. This was written in 1953, and as I speak these words, we know that they are even as relevant, if not more, today. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the United States of America, directing the thought and the activity of all who guide its affairs. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are the gifts of freedom and are the divine heritage of everyone. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are now operating in the affairs of every individual. I know that divine guidance enlightens the collective mind of the people of this country, causing it to know that economic security may come to all without the loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that freedom must be surrendered in order to ensure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind of God contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. The all-knowing mind of God contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed to this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution to every problem, and each is compelled to act upon this knowledge to act upon this knowledge that all abundant security and peace shall come now. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. And so it is. Amen.